Good morning everybody, and welcome to our thought for the week once again. Here in Portugal, we, like yourselves in Northern Ireland, are beginning to enjoy coming out of lockdown. Portugal had a few glorious weeks on the green list of the United Kingdom, and it was great to see the tourists coming. Sadly it wasn't to last, but we trust and pray that perhaps we will return to the green list again. But as a church here in Porto, we've been able to get back to having face-to-face worship as you have in Second Comber. We've also had the opportunity just Sunday this week to have our first sort of community lunch, the first time we've done that in 18 months, and it was just wonderful to be able to sit around tables and chat and just share life with each other once again. And I know we've all been missing that expression of fellowship that comes from being together as a church. And no doubt you're all looking forward to your car park service on Sunday afternoon and trust that the weather allows that to go on ahead. But as we do come back into a more regular activity of being a church, a question that I think has to be at the front of our minds is, what does that mean for us? As we return to the activities of church, what does God desire of us as His people in these times? For the past number of months here in Porto, we've been studying the little minor prophet of Hosea. A wonderful, wonderful story of God speaking to His people to win back their hearts, to call them back to Himself. And it's played out in a number of ways. Hosea is the prophet. Hosea represents God, and God calls Hosea the prophet to go and marry Gomer, who's a prostitute. Gomer represents the unfaithful people of Israel who have turned away from God and gone chasing after other lovers, after other gods, after other sources of help and hope. And through this living parable, Hosea is called to go and marry Gomer. He does this, they have 3 children, and through these children God says what's going to happen to his people. You will not be my people, you will not be loved. And it's a warning of judgment that's coming on His people. But behind the book is this wonderful expression of God's passion. In fact, we call it God's passion for an unfaithful people, because the book reveals the heart of God for His people. And in that book, as God reveals His heart for His people, He answers the question that the people ask, what do you want from us, God? And in Hosea chapter 6, verse 6, He says, I desire steadfast love, not sacrifice, and knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. Some versions talk about mercy rather than sacrifice. It's the same word. It describes that faithful love of God towards His people, that steadfast love. The people of Israel back in that time were a people of fervent religious activity. They were busy with their sacrifices. They were busy spending money on sacrifices, elaborate services of ritual. But all of it was just a veneer because their hearts actually were not focused on knowing who God is. So God says, I desire steadfast love. Isn't that a great word, steadfast? Not wavering, constant. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Doesn't matter whether we're happy, whether we're sad. It's a steadfast, sturdy, steady, dedicated love. And God requires steadfast love. And He also desires knowledge. Now, knowledge is one of those words that we sort of struggle with. We have general knowledge quizzes, which are wonderful because we test our knowledge of facts and information about various subjects, things that we are aware of, things that we have come across before. For instance, I am very much aware that the President of the United States is a guy called Biden. But that's just being aware of it. It's not the knowledge that the Bible talks about, because when the Bible talks about knowledge, it's an experienced knowledge. It's a personal thing. So much so that the same word is used in the Bible to describe the relationship between a man and a wife. Adam knew his wife, she conceived, and they had children. It describes an intimacy of deep, committed, ongoing relationship. That's what God desires of us. Steadfast love and experienced knowledge of who He is. He doesn't desire sacrifices. He doesn't desire burnt offerings. What He was saying to Israel was, all of your fervent religious activity, it doesn't really cut it with me. It's just a cover-up. It's just a veneer, because I know your heart, Israel, is chasing after other things. You're looking for alliances to sort you out of these problems. You're looking for other gods to bring rains in your harvests. I'm not the sole focus of your existence. And so, Israel, I desire steadfast love and knowledge. It's great to be able to get back to church. And these past number of months have been trying times for all of us. Times whenever we've been isolated from each other, times whenever we've been required of ourselves to grow and invest in our knowledge of God through prayer, through Bible study, through whatever it might have been. But it's been a good time as well, because there's all of these other aspects of church life which we enjoy and we benefit from have been stripped back. We've sort of been put in a place where it's actually just us and God. And it's been an opportunity for us to invest and grow in our experienced personal knowledge of who God is. And the challenge for us here in Porto, and the challenge for you back in Second Comber and beyond, is what will we do now when we go back to church? Will we learn the lessons? Will we keep going that God desires steadfast love and knowledge? Will we equip our churches so that that's the focus, so that we're enabling people to grow in their experiential knowledge of who God is? So just today, for a few minutes, as you think about what's coming up ahead in your life in Second Comber, returning to activities in the new season from September, just think about what that might mean for you. What does it mean for you to live for God with a steadfast love and to pursue knowledge, not facts or information, but deep-rooted personal knowledge of the goodness of God as you come back into church activities?